My driving student ran away after having panic attacks. Then I found her at a child's memorial. I'd been teaching nervous teenagers to drive for 15 years, but Taylor was different. 7 instructors had already given up, and her mother was offering double our rate for someone patient. When they arrived, Taylor emerged from the car, moving like someone walking through a minefield, with her arms wrapped around herself. Once seated, she gripped the wheel until her knuckles went white, and her breathing came in drowning gasps. When I asked her to shift into drive, her trembling hand hovered over the gear shift for 10 full seconds before she crept forward at 5 miles per hour, checking all 3 mirrors obsessively. A plastic bag blew across our path, and she slammed the brakes so hard we both jerked forward, whispering, "Sorry, sorry, sorry," like a broken record. By the 3rd lesson, I noticed the pattern of her panic attacks. She'd be doing fine until seemingly random triggers like a ball bouncing near the street or children's laughter from a playground would make her slam the brakes and pull over, gasping for air. She'd press her palms against her eyes hard enough to leave marks while apologizing over and over, saying she was wasting my time and would never be able to do this. I kept telling her we could take breaks whenever she needed, but she just looked at me with hollow eyes and said I should give up like everyone else had. Thursday morning, I waited in the parking lot checking my phone when Taylor's mom called with her voice breaking, asking if Taylor had shown up for her lesson. 20 minutes later, she pulled into the lot and ran to my window with tears streaming down her face, begging me to help find her daughter who had quietly taken the car keys while she was in the shower. As I drove, she broke down sobbing and finally told me what happened. She was doing everything right that day with her cousin watching her practice for her test when Michael ran into the street after his soccer ball, and she just couldn't stop in time. Her voice cracked completely. That little boy was only 9 years old, and now my daughter wakes up screaming his name and won't forgive herself, and I don't know how to help her anymore. We searched everywhere teenagers might go, like the mall and coffee shops and even the cemetery, before I asked where exactly the accident happened. When we pulled up to the intersection, I saw Taylor's car on the shoulder and Taylor sitting on the hood staring at a small memorial covered in fresh flowers. Her mom stayed in my car while I approached Taylor, who looked up with swollen eyes and started apologizing for stealing the car. I sat next to her and she wiped her face with shaking hands. I come here all the time to tell him how sorry I am, even though I know he can't hear me because dead kids don't get to hear apologies. I rolled up my pant leg, slowly revealing the titanium prosthetic where my ankle should have been. Taylor's eyes widened as I explained how 17 years ago, I was driving my sister to her violin recital when a drunk driver blew through a red light at 60 miles per hour. The impact crushed the entire passenger side where my sister was sitting and folded my leg backwards against the door until bones shattered like glass. They amputated below the knee 3 days later while my sister learned to breathe without machines. She stared at the titanium and her voice came out broken. "How can you sit here with me knowing I killed a child the same way that driver almost killed you and your sister?" I met her eyes directly. "Because that driver made a choice to get behind the wheel drunk, but you were just a teenager who couldn't make physics stop when a little boy ran in front of your car." She shook her head violently, but I continued. "Staying off the road forever won't bring Michael back, but it will add another casualty to an already horrible tragedy." Taylor sobbed, asking if I really thought she could drive without hurting anyone else. I said her paranoia and hypervigilance would make her the safest driver on the road because she understood that 2 tons of metal could destroy lives in seconds. Most people forgot that truth, but she'd never have that luxury. She asked what would happen if she froze up during a real emergency and caused another accident. I promised we'd practice until her responses were automatic and she could trust her instincts again. 6 months later, Taylor passed her driving test on the first try. Every Saturday, she drives herself to the children's hospital where she reads picture books to kids in the cancer ward, her hands steady on the wheel the whole way there. She still visits Michael's memorial, but now she tells him about each child she made smile that day, trying to add some good to the world to balance the scales.